Hello everyone, Curious Corduroy here, and it's being heavily rumored that Sony will be making a rather large studio acquisition sometime soon. This information comes to us directly from Jeff Grubbs over on his show Grub Snacks. Jeff states, "If you've heard the rumors about a big acquisition from Sony, it was never Kojima Productions, at least as far as I'm aware. People that were hearing this stuff, including me, that was not a name that was thrown around. It was bigger than Kojima Productions." Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with the Kojima Productions involvement, last week it was being speculated by gamers and some industry people that Sony had acquired Kojima Productions, the studio behind the Sony-owned IP Death Stranding. Over at the official PlayStation website, the banner at the top of the page features shots of Sony's PlayStation Studio characters. The original banner had a photo of the game Concrete Genie, but it was replaced this past week with a photo of the Death Stranding character of Sam Porter Bridges, played by Norman Reedus. However, this was all debunked by Hideo Kojima himself on Twitter, saying, "I'm sorry for the misunderstanding, but Kojima Productions has been and will continue to be an independent studio." So with Kojima Productions seemingly not for purchase, what other major studios could be acquired? Well, back in January, Jeff Keighley listed on Twitter the remaining companies that haven't been acquired. All of these are listed by their market caps. At the top, we have EA with $38 billion, Take-Two at $18 billion, Nexon and Bandai both at $15 billion, Embracer Group at $10.8 billion, Netmarble and Ubisoft at $7 billion, Konami at $6 billion, Square Enix at $5.6 billion, Capcom at $4.9 billion, and Sega at $3.6 billion. So if Jeff Grubbs is correct, then perhaps a studio like EA or Ubisoft could be something Sony is pursuing, with both companies having a vast library of popular IPs, such as the Battlefield and Assassin's Creed franchises. Personally, I felt for a long time that Sony, not Microsoft, could acquire Capcom and Square Enix. I have no real solid information to back that up, but Sony does have a long history with these studios that dates all the way back to the beginning of the PlayStation 1 era. Sony has also obtained console exclusives from both companies, with it looking like mainline Final Fantasy games could potentially be console exclusives for Sony, and Street Fighter V has been a console exclusive for Sony, having eventually made its way to PC years later. Although Sony's focuses seem to be shifting more towards Western audiences lately, they still have a firm foundation in the Japanese gaming market. If Capcom and Square Enix, who are both Japanese companies, are open to being purchased, then it makes sense they'd want to be bought by a Japanese studio and not an American company like Microsoft, who, despite having tons of money, have always struggled to gain an audience in Japan. It makes sense they'd want to side with someone who still has that foundation there in Japan, which is still important to these companies. So that is the video, everyone. I'd be very curious to hear what you all have to think about who Sony could potentially be acquiring in the comments down below. It definitely seems like we'll be getting an answer to all of this very soon. I will see you guys in the next video. I am Curious Corduroy, and with all that being said, please always remember to be excellent to one another.